hard work and effort doesn't always equate to results.
I love it.
It doesn't. And I think that for people who have been at it for, if you've been at an idea for like 3 years, 4 years, and you're not seeing success, as Kevin O'Leary says, take it behind the barn and shoot it. Because that idea, like, either sucks or you suck at executing that idea.
Unrealism.
3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Jason. We got Boris and Dan in the house, and welcome to episode 1 of Unrealism Podcast.
I'm stoked to be
Unrealism, baby. That was an unreal intro, bro. Let's go.
That was unreal.
This is gonna be lit.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our host, Jason Luke.
All right. Well, this is a special one, right? Why do we choose Dan as our first guest?
Because we keep having these little talks on Zoom and on WhatsApp with Kogan. And he's one of my best friends. He's one of your friends now, too. And he faced something last year that I think a lot of people in America and Canada, all over the world, are facing right now, is they're losing their jobs. And that was the point in time. Like, Dan was always a responsible guy, good with his money, had a good job. But that was the moment in time, I think, where I saw my friend just kind of go through this life-altering change. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. It was really inspiring for me, so I thought it might be inspiring for other people as well, So just to kick it off, like I want to interview him about sort of how he did it, what happened, and what kind of mentality does it take to get there. So that's my little introduction. This is one of my best homies, Dan Kogan.
For sure.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm stoked, man. I'm feeling pretty good. It's April 22nd today, right? It's April 22nd.
Yes, sir.
We're in the middle of a pandemic, and my business is thriving right now, which is kind of surreal. That when a lot of people are having a lot of financial trouble and employment problems and whatnot, that because my business is online, I have an Amazon store. It's actually thriving. So it's surreal. It's kind of weird. Feels weird, but yeah, I'm stoked.
Do you feel like? Do you wake up with a feeling of feeling grateful, or what's that?
Definitely.
What's that feeling?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Very, very grateful. Very, very humbled by the fact that a year ago today, I was at a job that I really just didn't. I didn't hate it, but I hated the environment. There was a new general manager that came in. I worked for a car dealership, luxury car dealership, as a sales manager. And, I did that for about 5 years. I was in the car industry for about 7 years. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of became routine and repetitive. And I felt like I wasn't really learning very much, but I was kind of hooked on the money. I was making great 6-figure income. It allowed me to live the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And, I kind of felt very complacent and at times trapped. It was a really stressful job. And then in May, at the end of last May, the blessing in disguise happened. I got fired from my job just for not conforming to this new general manager's, way of doing. Like he didn't like the fact that I didn't like him. He just was kind of a crappy person, right? If I'm just being blunt, he was just kind of a crappy person, and I didn't really respect him, and he knew that. And yeah, he fired me, and I felt like I hit a low in my life. And so I started an online business selling products on Amazon, and it was definitely a struggle out of the gate, but it took off, and now I couldn't be happier. So yeah, your question is, am I grateful? I'm very grateful. I feel very fortunate.
I remember that time in your life, and it was really interesting to see from, you know, a friend perspective, because you're so used to it. And I'm glad you called it a blessing in disguise, because I remember you were scrambling to get yourself other jobs. And I always saw like the entrepreneurial spirit in you, but I think it had just awoken. You needed that sort of kick in the ass for it to just ignite, you know, and I'm so happy that it ignited for you.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. Especially when I think a lot of people have challenges at work. Like they don't hate their job. There's this quote that people say they hate their manager, right? They're working for, because that's a person you're interacting with every day.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, if that didn't happen and you were happy, would you have started a business around this time, or do you think you would have stayed?
That's a great question. I mean, I was really comfortable. I was making, you know, I probably would have made 200 grand last year. That's, to me, you know, that's a lot of money. And I, you know, was living a great lifestyle. I had a boat, I had a car, I could go on vacation. I have a girlfriend. Hopefully she's not with me for that reason, but like, you know, right? But things are good, right? And I don't think I would have ever steered away from that. I think my goals were quite limited at that time. The way that I saw my life unfolding, now looking back on it, was very limited, because my dream, this is my dream. This is the end goal, was to become a general manager. I would have made, you know, 250, 300K a year. I would have had my own dealership, maybe another dealership. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have a house in, you know, a nice part of town. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have kids. We're going to have a great life. That was my end goal. That was my dream. And what this whole experience has shown me is that, like, you got to dream big. Like, you have to, your goals and your dreams have to be astronomical, because if you end up somewhere between where you are today and astronomical, you'll probably do a lot better than if you get to your goal, but your goal was really small in the first place.
I think that says a lot with, they say, the journey of everything, right? Because if your goal is really astronomical, you can really enjoy the process of building to that extreme amount. And I mean, like the 250, 300K a year with a nice house and girlfriend, family, whatever it may be, it's respectable, right? I think it's well above the median income in Canada. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. That's why that was my dream. I was like, this is going to be awesome. If I can attain this at that time, like, I didn't need anything else. But now that I have my own business and, you know, I can drive it in whatever way I want. If I work, you know, like at the dealership, if I put in, you know, 50 hours a week, that was kind of what you had to put in to keep the job. And if I put in, you know, double, if I worked 100 hours a week, I wouldn't make double the money. I might make an extra 5% in my income and get a pat on the back, you know, if that. Whereas with your own business, if you work double, you're most likely going to see double the results, if not more. So having that outlet is so incredibly fulfilling and motivating. I think it's fulfilling is probably the best way to describe it, because you know that every ounce of effort and work that you put into your own business, into your own journey, into building, into creating something that's yours, it's an extension of who you are. Every ounce of work that you put in, you're going to be rewarded for. And that's pretty special. That's something I've never experienced before. So yeah, that's, I would say, the biggest outcome of all of this. Not the money, not the financial, it's just the sense of fulfillment.
It's interesting how your view of what the stars are and reaching for them has changed now that you're on a different venture. And it would be interesting to know or ponder about what that goal will be later in your life in 10 years when you see what, there are even more things that are possible now, right? But I think that even if you have that, like, let's call it a roadmap or a treasure map, I think a lot of people dream big, like you do right now, but they don't know how to get there. They don't know the step by step, and they also might be limited by their mentality right now of getting there. Like I personally believe that you can give someone a treasure map, give them water, food, all the resources, but they still won't get there. And I think that's a mentality thing. What gets you, like, waking up early and staying up late, doing, like, hustling at this?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't wake up early ever.
Okay.
But I stay up late because my business requires me to talk to Chinese suppliers. So, we're in Pacific Standard Time. So when it's 6 p.m. our time, it's 9 a.m. their time, and that's when they're starting their day. So I have a lot of 6 p.m. to 2 or 3 a.m. nights, a lot of them. And that's just what motivates me to do that is the sense of accomplishment and getting things done. Like I also do coaching. So as you guys know, one of my good friends, Tom, he kind of got me started in this business, and he does coaching. And he's pulled me into the coaching side of it as well. And I see a lot of students. I see a ton of students, and I teach a lot of students. And I see a lot of the, I don't want to say mistakes, but a lot of the shortfalls that these students have in their journey. And that's a lack of commitment and dedication to actually achieving results. And what I mean by that is, like, you can give the same task to 10 different people, and they will accomplish that task at different levels, at different efficacy levels, and also they'll accomplish it in completely different spans of time. So what might take someone 2 or 3 days to complete, and they're gonna kill it, could take someone else a month to complete, and they'll do an okay job, and someone else might not even finish it. So business is really a journey of completing tasks. And that's the way that I see it. There's an end goal, there's your North Star that you're shooting towards. But really, the way that I see it is you compartmentalize small individual tasks, you accomplish them to the best of your ability in the quickest amount of time possible, and you move on. And it's kind of a never-ending staircase where you lay your next bricks, you step on them, and you lay your next bricks, and you step, and you continue climbing that staircase, till you're ready to retire, I guess. But a lot of people, their biggest shortfall is that they don't have the type of drive, I guess you could say drive, that it takes to just accomplish these tasks. So you asked me what my day looks like. The reason why I stay up late is because I want to get things done. Like, talking to suppliers is something that you could get done in 4 or 5 days. You can get, for one product, you could start the conversation, you could negotiate, and on the 5th day you could be ordering samples. But I see people, it takes them 2 months, 3 months. And then I see some people that it's taken 6 months, a year, and they still haven't ordered a product. So really, I think that's the biggest thing, is about setting short-term goals and accomplishing them.
Interesting. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, was this a mentality you kind of always had, even as you approached your previous jobs? Because, like, how different was that moving into entrepreneurship? Did you have to kind of learn it along the way, or was this something that you just, like, kind of ingrained in your life before?
Yeah, I mean, my job, so we would sell a car, then maybe we would have to send it out to get tires done. We would have to send it out to get some body work done. We would send it out to have to get it detailed, and then have to deliver the car the next day, and also get a finance approval during that time. So yeah, there was a sense of urgency that was instilled in me, and that's one customer, right? What if you sell 10 cars? What if you sell 20 cars? You've got a lot of moving parts that you kind of have to put together in a short period of time in order to keep the flow going. So I won't say that I came into this experience completely cold, but I definitely have been learning a lot on the way. And it's a journey, and it's a different journey for anyone, right? It's a different journey for it's the same end goal, right? Like having a successful business, that's your end goal, whatever that is, whatever success means to you. But that journey looks different to different individuals, because different people tackle that journey in completely different ways. But I think the biggest thing, again, I'll reiterate, is just having a big vision, and then understanding what steps you need to accomplish to get yourself closer to that end goal on a daily basis. Set goals, write things down. Like I write things down in here. I write, a list of literally almost every day. I write down, what do I need to accomplish today? I write it all down. I write down all the things that I can think of accomplishing. Like there's long lists here, right? Mm-hmm. I write down every single thing that I think I need to, right in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I just brainstorm as many things as I can possibly think that I need to accomplish that day. I write them all down. And then as the day progresses, I cross things out. I cross things. And then even the next day, I'll write more things down. But then I'll go back to the previous list, because you never finish everything on the list, but because some things just take a little bit more time to do. Mm-hmm. But I'll go back, and like when I can cross something off that I wrote down, a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, that just took me a bit of time, like that's a good feeling. For me, that's really rewarding. But I think that's a big thing for people, is that it's really about just like setting small goals, not procrastinating, and just getting shit done. Just get shit. Like an entrepreneur is only as successful as they are resourceful. Like you have to be able to just get things done.
Yeah, and I think it's like over glorified nowadays too to be an entrepreneur. I think Gary Vee talks about this all the time as well. It's like it's almost popular to do this, mm-hmm. but unfortunately not everyone's equipped to manage their own schedule in that sense, because you can get very complacent. And, as simple as writing down to-dos and crossing them off, I know that works for me too. And that does give me a rewarding feeling. But what would you say to people that, let's say, just lost their job, they're at home, they're not sure whether maybe business is right for them, or Amazon or e-commerce? What kind of advice would you give those sort of people that are at a complete loss right now, like you were last year?
Okay. So I'm gonna do a plug here. Now, right? You're laughing, right? I have to.
How dare you?
Like what I recommend to people. Now, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Mm-hmm. It is not for everyone. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell people that, oh, it's super easy and it's super fulfilling. Just because it's fulfilling for me doesn't mean it's fulfilling for you. And just because, certain aspects of it are easy for me, it doesn't mean that they're going to be easy for you. There's aspects of my journey that are terribly hard for me, that I absolutely hate. It's not as glamorous as, people like Gary Vee and, whoever else, Grant Cardone, whatever, they make it out to be. It's a grind. Like it's a lot of work. And if you're not passionate about it, like I can't stop talking about it. My girlfriend will attest to that. Like she listens to me talk about this business more than we talk about anything else. And I mean, if you don't have that type of fire for it, if you don't have that type of drive, don't do it. It's not for you. You're going to end up wasting your time. God forbid, you're going to end up wasting your money. And you'll end up coming out of it just like, with less money than you started and feeling deflated. But if you're passionate about it, if it's something that excites you, if it's something that you can see yourself committing to and investing, not even your time, but like a piece of your heart, you really have to invest a piece of your heart into it. You have to love your business. You have to love what you're doing. Not every aspect of it. Like, I hate computer shit. I hate setting up, ads and whatnot. I'm not good at that. That's not my strength. I'm big picture. I like talking to suppliers. I like thinking of product ideas, but I'm not like super technical. I hate that shit, but I do it. I have to do it. But my passion for the remainder of the business far exceeds all the shit that I have to do that I don't like. Now, if you're someone who is kind of like, yeah, like if you think about the reasons why you would be interested in it, that's the biggest thing, I think. Like, think about what draws you to being an entrepreneur. And if you truly feel passionate about it and it's truly something you want to do, maybe you don't even, this is something that for me, like, I didn't even know what type of business I would start. I was just lucky that one of my best friends, he's actually a very successful Amazon seller. I'm catching up to him. But he does coaching as well, which I help him with. We've got a coaching program that is a step-by-step. He's developed a course. It's a video course. He's developed it. It's a step-by-step on how to start your own Amazon business. If you're interested in it, hit me up and we can chat a little bit. And if you're interested, we're selling it right now for like $1,000. And you get a step-by-step on how to start your own business, how to start your own Amazon business, e-commerce. So,
Danny, where can they find you? What kind of links should we put in this video?
Yeah, I mean, what we'll do is we'll create some type of landing page where listeners can subscribe. But you can always email me. I can give you my email. It's support@dankoganconsulting.com. You can put that in the bio as well. And yeah, I mean, if you have any questions about Amazon or e-commerce or anything like that, then hit me up. But really, like, you asked me what I would recommend for people who've lost their job. Find another job. Like, if you need money, like, not everyone, I'll be straight up honest, like, not everyone was in a position like me where I had a little bit of cushion to sit on. I don't have any kids. My monthly obligations, financial obligations weren't crazy high. And I could afford to dig into my savings and start this business. But if you're, a mom or a dad, wife, obviously you got kids, like, you're in a different position than I was. So get another job, create financial security for yourself, start a business on the side, right? Start a business on the side. Like, if you think that working your 9-to-5 job is a full-time job, like, there's a meme out there that says, I remember my first part-time job. Like, seriously, like, for people that think that working a 9-to-5 is a full-time job, like, it's not. Like, period. It's just
point
not.
blank, full stop. It's not.
It's not. Like,
Yeah, I think if we were to create, like, are you an entrepreneur or not, whether you should waste your time or try to spend your time on, let's say, Amazon or e-commerce, that's one of the checklists. Like,
yeah.
your workday doesn't end at 5. I'm sorry, But let's say there's a handful of people listening who lost their job, but they got a 9-to-5 grinding $12 an hour, and they're at home right now. It's 5:30, and they want to do something. What would their first steps be?
Figure out what you want to do. Figure out what you're best at. Figure out, what your best qualities are. If your best quality, if something that you really like, if you really, really love to draw or paint or whatever, you can paint and you can create a bunch of art and try to commercialize it, try to sell it, put it on Etsy, put it on, try to sell it, try to create an Instagram page, grow a following. If something that you're really passionate about is, I don't know, painting nails, then start a side hustle, like start some type of side hustle and buy a little kit, buy a table, set up a little area in your apartment. Well, maybe not right now with COVID, but like once this all clears up, set up a little area in your apartment and, you know, try to build some following on Instagram and get your friends to start paying you to do their nails and whatever it may be. For those people that have a job right now and, you know, at 5:30 when you get home, spend a little bit of time, unwind, spend an hour, unwind, but then instead of binge watching Netflix or going out and having some beers and spending money, right? Or going out for dinner or whatever you do, right? Going to the movies and just burning 2.5 hours of your time. Pour that into, like, this is your chance to actually get ahead. Instead of going out and spending money, why don't you figure out a way to make money during that time, during that downtime that everybody feels, oh, I'm tired after work. I've got this and that. Everybody's got the same 24 hours in their day. And yeah, I was definitely privileged because I didn't have a job when I started this business, but I could have started it while I had my job. The reason I didn't is because I was too comfortable. I was making, I didn't think I needed to, really. That's truly what it is. I was making enough where I was like, I just want to enjoy this money. I just want to enjoy this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you said something interesting earlier. When you did, receive the news that you were being let go, you went and you did a job search yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of explore that. Like, how was that process? Like, was there maybe a few rejections, or did you get any offers before you decided, hey, let's not try the 9-to-5 and side hustle, let's go full hustle? How did that go through your mind?
Yeah, no, I remember those days. Like, I remember those days vividly. Those were the most deciding days of my life. Like, I remember going into dealerships because I reached out to a bunch of my contacts in the industry and interviewing for positions. And I remember being offered a few positions that would pay me, 120, probably 130, somewhere in there. But then the reason I didn't take them was because I knew that if I took that job, I would just be looking for something better and something to actually motivate me, where I would learn and grow. And so I applied to positions that were really a promotion. So I tried to turn the firing into a promotion for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of ego involved in that as well. I was like, screw this, I got fired. Like, that's such bullshit. Like, I'm such a great employee. I dedicated, 5 years of my life to this company, and they just like threw me out on the street. I'm going to show them. I'm going to get a promotion out of this. And when that didn't happen for me, because it's a cold world out there, that really like broke me down quite a bit. And I remember feeling pretty, I thought, I felt, I didn't really truly think this, everyone's replaceable. In the workplace, everybody's replaceable. But I felt at times that I was like, nobody can do my job better than me. And then to feel like you're fired, like they're letting you go. They're essentially telling you that we, for whatever reason, don't need you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need your services anymore. We're going to replace you with someone else. Like, that's a pretty sobering moment in my life. And then when I wasn't able to turn that into a promotion, I was kind of left with the option of just taking a job where just for the money, that was the only motivator for me, was just like, I need money, right? Like, I was stressed. I need money. What am I going to do for money?
Yeah.
But I knew that I wouldn't learn anything. Like, I would be literally taking a step backwards. I felt like I was going to be taking a step backwards. So I just learned all this for 5 years, and I'm going to go into a job, right? I'm going to go into a job just to, it's like a hamster wheel, right? So that right there is what motivated me to dive headfirst into starting my own business.
Dude, I love that answer. Like I'm getting goosebumps. I'm excited because I can plug myself back into that moment. And like Danny's not going to get into this, but I will for him. I remember he would like you wouldn't go for lunches with me anymore, and you would stay at Blends all day and just hustle at this business. And I was with you most of the time, and I just saw you grind, and that turned into something positive. So positive that you can literally walk into that old office now, and from the bottom of your heart, I'm speaking for you, thank them for letting you go, because one door closed and you're an example of several other doors opening now for you. You know, sometimes we get stuck in that, like the negative of the way life is throwing, you know, what life's throwing at you, and we forget the possibilities that could be in front of you, and you just don't see them. You know, I like that you called it a hamster wheel. That's beautiful, dude. Very well said. I love that. What now, sir?
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Time to level up, man.
Before we jump into what's next, I think there's an interesting part, and this is, I might be just speaking for myself, but for people that are trying to make that jump from, you know, being employed to running their own business, there's got to be that buffer of time of when you're taking a bunch of risk and then you finally have that aha moment, like something's happening, like this is going to be positive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take for you to actually, like, you know, from that layoff to actually knowing like this is what I should be doing? Because I'm sure there's a lot of doubt in people's mind, like, maybe I should go back and look for a job. Maybe I should have taken that money instead. Like, what was that critical point, like mentally? What was going on through your head?
Oh man, it was pretty dark, man. Like honestly, it was a pretty dark, probably 3 or 4 months in my life. Like I fully felt depressed some days because you don't have sales. Like it's not like you start a business, an Amazon business, and like right away you're making money, you're selling, like this is great, I'm living, I'm on a yacht. Like no, like there's none of that. Right? Like
unless you take the course, right?
No, you know, I'm never gonna promise anything. Like it takes a little bit of time to get going, but once you do, then you can do whatever you want, right? And like, you know, taking back to that, I'm gonna plug it one more time. Like it just speeds up the journey. Like really, if I told you, one of my friends actually uses this analogy, and I like it a lot. If I told you that business is it's a road, right? It's a road, and you're in your car and you're driving down this road, and I, as a coach, could tell you that there's going to be a pothole up there and another one up there and another one up there. And I told you exactly how to avoid those potholes so that you don't, you know, blow your tire or bend your rim or whatever, or crash your car, right? Like as a worst case scenario, if I could tell you how to avoid those, like for $1,000, that's worth every penny. So that's really the benefit of you know, having, like, taking a course really is just having a mentor. That's really what it is. And I truly benefited from that myself. So, but back to the early kind of days, your question was like, when do you know to kind of take the jump? And like, how do you kind of overcome that doubt? Well, for me, like in the first little bit, when I remember turning down a job for, you know, it was 100 whatever, 100 and change I would have made. And I kept looking. And then I remember when I actually stopped applying to jobs, and my parents thought I was crazy. Like my parents were like, you know, like they're super conservative people. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, are you out of your mind? Like, you're going to give up that career where you're making six figures, and, you know, it'll be a slow growth, but you will eventually come out of the other end somewhat wealthy. You're going to give that up in your late 20s to start this business that you have no idea whether it's going to do anything for you or not. And yeah, like, if I didn't have doubt in myself, they made sure I did, right? You know? And yeah, I mean, do I recommend for most people to do what I did? No, I really, really don't, because unless you have enough money to invest in your business, like a significant amount to invest in your business and grow it, and also enough money to not take any money out of your business for at least a year, right? If you can cover your living expenses, so if you're spending $3,000 a month, right, a month on expenses, mortgage, rent, whatever, you need, you know, 36, 40K for your living expenses as a like minimum for a year, plus the amount of money that you're going to put into your business to actually get it going. So for most people, I would assume that that's probably not a viable option, especially if you've got a family and kids and you know, whatever, unless you're sitting on some savings and you really believe in yourself, you like, then do it. But for most people, I think the journey's a little bit different in the sense that they've already got stuff going on. Either they've already got another business or they've got a job, and that's where you're, you know, 6 p.m. to midnight. That's a stretch. That's 6 hours, guys. Like, that's a lot of time. If you finish your job at 5 and you can work from 6, 6:30, even 7 to midnight every day, and you're pouring your heart into it, that's a lot. That's a lot of ammo. Like, you can get a lot done in 5 hours. That's 35 hours a week if you do that every day for, you know, 3, 6, whatever months in the beginning to really get it going. Like, you can actually build a business during that time that in 6 months or a year will generate you profit, which you can then decide at that point. Once you're generating that profit, you can decide if you want to invest more of your time to grow that business, because you feel as though you can grow that into significantly more than your day job, right? Or who knows, if you're really good at what you do, that business could end up generating more for you within a year, for sure. Like 100%. That business that you start can end up generating more income for you than your day job within a year. I'm confident in that. Mm-hmm. So it's different for different people as to when they feel that comfort, right? When they are comfortable to make that change. But yeah, it's just different. It's circumstantial, and it's a feeling more so than anything. It's kind of like a gut feeling.
A gut feeling, eh? Yeah, because it is. I want to say that in every sense of the word, your results have been, you know, an outlier in what we usually see. To go from zero to building a, you know, 7-figure business, e-commerce in a crowded space. A lot of people say Amazon's crowded these days, but we'll let you be the judge of that. And to achieve such success, and with you saying that your, you know, dark days were around 3 to 4 months, you know, that's a quarter. You know, that's not a huge amount of time. I've heard stories of people struggling for 4 or 5 years at bat, and they just haven't struck anything. So I'm actually like really impressed to hear that you saw that light at the end of the tunnel so quickly. Like, it just usually doesn't really happen, right?
Yeah. To add to that too, like, Danny, you were saying how some people will take 6 months to just find a product, right? Whereas in 6 months, you're already, I guess, profiting. You're already doing very well, right? So how can you attest to like the speed in which you've started moving? Maybe touch on like why you're able to do that and why other people just aren't pulling the trigger, why they're not moving.
Okay.
What's the key to, like, what's the recipe to that sauce, man? I want it too.
Like, I'm going to be very straight up. Like, if I told you that I wanted to become an NFL linebacker, there's no amount of time. Like, there's no amount of time that I could invest into that would make me an NFL linebacker. Zero. There's a 0.0% chance that I'm ever going to be successful at that. So what I'm trying to say is that hard work and effort doesn't always equate to results.
I love it.
It doesn't. And I think that for people who have been at it for, if you've been at an idea for like 3 years, 4 years, and you're not seeing success, as Kevin O'Leary says, take it behind the barn and shoot it. Because that idea, like, either sucks or you suck at executing that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And move on to the next idea. And like, for me, if I try something and I don't see results within a little bit, like, I need to see some traction. Does this idea have legs? Am I good at this? Like, if it takes you 6 months, just in my field, if it takes you 6 to find a product, I mean, you're never going to be as successful at Amazon as me, ever. Like, ever. Does that mean that you should stop? I don't know. I mean, what's the alternative? If you stop, if you find one product every 6 months, that's better than finding 0 products every 6 months, right? And just quitting and not doing anything else. But if that means that you take that 6 months and invest that time into something that you're better at, something that you maybe enjoy doing more, then, it's opportunity cost. At the end of the day, it's like your time is priceless. Like, your time is something you'll never get back. So if you find yourself investing your time into something that you're not seeing an ROI on, then there's a problem. Like, it's either you or it's the idea. Now, if you see other people taking that idea and killing it, the concept, like Amazon, if you see other sellers finding products, launching new products, and they're killing it, then it's you. Like, I'm sorry, but it's you. It means that you, for whatever reason, aren't as good at doing what they're doing. Like, you're just not, like, I'm not as good at football as, like, I'm probably as good at football as like a 15-year-old girl, right? Like, I can acknowledge that, right? Like, but I think it's about almost being humble in that sense and just understanding what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and not just pursuing a business idea because you think that, it's cool or it's trendy or whatnot. But then again, it's difficult for me to discourage people from pursuing it because what's the alternative?
Yeah, and I think you made a good point. It is a tough pill to swallow, and it's a very practical approach, I guess, with anything in life. If you're not getting results, really, what are you doing? Like, a lot of the times, I think you're just going through the motions, especially at a job. You might not even be the best producer at your job. The only thing kind of keeping you there is employment. And once that's taken away from you, I think a lot of people might actually realize during these times they don't apply enough in their lives, right? And that's kind of a sobering feeling all around that, maybe they're not even good at their jobs. Maybe they don't know what they should be doing, even if they work for somebody. Mm-hmm. It's a very tough thing to think about.
Everyone's great at something.
But you got to find it too, right? You got to try different things, maybe fail. Mm-hmm. I think everyone's journey is going to look different at the end of when it all falls down. At the end of the story, some people might take 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, or maybe those 3 years. They figured out, based on your advice, very practical. I totally agree with that they suck. Either their idea sucks or they suck at that particular execution of things. They might find a partner and then they'll see growth elsewhere, right?
I think that should be the title of this podcast. It should be "Do You Suck?" ?
Yeah.
Well, how do you guys think you can get to that realization? Because we're still going to be learning about ourselves for I think the rest of our lives, hopefully we continue being self-reflective. But like, how do you get to that point where you go, fuck, maybe I suck at this, maybe I should just stop? Or like, how do you find something that you're good at? Like, what works for you guys in that sense? Either
I
of
mean,
you.
like, yeah, no, Jay, you answer this one. Let me think on it.
I think just given, the voices in the room, we are in our late 20s, so we have tried and tested a lot of things. We did study a bit in school or at various lengths. So I think we've tested a lot of things. I think at this point of our lives, we can attest to certain skills that we've built, and we can double down on them, or we can even at a later age, learn how to play piano or pivot based on our passions, right? But for the younger listeners or any audience members that are still figuring things out, it's just important to try and fail fast. I think one thing that I really love about the whole Amazon approach is that people have made it and you can try it, but there's no reason why it should take a year for you to try. Like, you can really fail fast. Sure, you might lose a couple $1,000, but what's that to some education, right? You might actually learn something out of it. So for those who are looking to try businesses or looking to try careers in general, taking that big step forward and failing fast to get that return, whether or not it's a loss or a profit, I think that's really important.
I agree with you.
So you're saying like, if people are starting businesses, give yourself sort of a budget and timeline, whether, let's say for Amazon, it's like a 6-month window, whatever it is, X amount of time. And if nothing's moving for you, just figure something else out. Is that?
Yeah, I think it just means that you're either not good at it or you're not passionate enough to be good at it.
Right. What if you're like in a creative, you're pursuing a creative venture? What do people do? Do they like ask friends, hey, do I paint well or do I sing well? Like, how? Because that's a whole different beast, right?
For sure. That's, and there's that's a really interesting point. Like, that's something that I know I'm not very good at. Like, I wouldn't ever, self-promote. Like, I get a lot of people following me on Instagram on my personal account, and I don't even follow them. Like, if I get tagged in something, I don't follow them, or it's a private account. Like, I don't like that self-promotion aspect. So how that relates to your question is, like, if you are the creative type, you're putting something out there. Like, my form of entrepreneurship is I have products. I create products and brand them, and that's my connection to the consumer. Whereas if you're creative, right, whether you're a singer or a painter or whatever type of creative outlet you have to attach your personal name to it, and you have to self-promote and see how people respond. Like, if you create art or you create music or whatever other forms you can think of, or you write a poem, or you have a blog or whatever, and you put it out there and you promote it, and you're go hard on Instagram and you post consistently and you put a ton of content out, and you're not getting any type of traction, people aren't really, people aren't gravitating towards you, then you're probably not that good. Like, at the end of the day, people, like, if I'm interested, I've been really interested in stocks lately, and I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up, stocks week, whatever, and I'll get a ton of feeds. Like, there are thousands of people talking about stocks and doing analysis, technical, whatever, but there are some which I gravitate towards because I feel like I learn a lot from them. I feel like I just feel a connection to them. I feel like they know what they're talking about. They're experts. They're good at what they do. I even bought a course from one of them the other day. And it's the same with creative. Like, if you're putting something out there on a consistent basis and you're getting great feedback, try to monetize it. Try to sell it. Like, try to sell whatever you're putting out there. Try to create some type of revenue stream from that. If you have a blog, try to get as much traffic to the blog as possible. Try to monetize it. Maybe, if you're blogging about some type of, I don't know, whatever, some type of whatever you blog about. Like, let's say you have some type of illness and you're blogging about it because you know a lot about it. You've seen a lot of specialists about it. Like, put that info out there. Try to gain a following. And once you gain that following, you can monetize it by creating a product maybe that serves some purpose within that field. Maybe you create some affiliate links where you sell, you promote other people's products and those sellers pay you to do so. If you can drive that traffic to other sellers, or you can create your own product, whatever way you want to do it. But that's my suggestion. Like, just go for it. And especially with creative, your cost is very low and your barrier to entry is like, there is none really. Like, create an Instagram page free, create whatever you create, whether it's music, it's just your time. Mm-hmm. It's your time, it's your effort, but just go for it and try to build from that and see if people respond. And if they don't, if your friends and your family don't promote you, and you don't get people commenting on your stuff, and people just don't really engage in it, and you're posting on a consistent basis, I mean, the market has spoken, unfortunately, and that is more personal. That might feel like a personal attack to you rather than me. If I'm selling mugs on Amazon and people don't like my mugs, like, hey, I'm sorry you don't like my mug, right? But if it's something that you've created, it could feel more personal. But at the end of the day, I know I'm not a good singer. Like, if I put out songs on people might like them actually because they'd be awful. Like, who knows, right? You might laugh. It could be like a comedy thing. But, if I'm not gaining traction, the market is telling me something. So you have to just be prepared for that before you go into it.
You're a harsh man, dude. You're harsh.
You know what, though? That's something that a lot of people do forget as well, especially in a day and age where you could make anything kind of look fancy and nice on Instagram, and you can trick yourself into thinking that you are producing results. But knowing what to listen to in the market. I mean, you can keep your ear and read the comments or whatnot, but knowing what to look for, I think, is important. I think pivoting is also probably really important too. Mm-hmm. You could start painting, but then you realize that you're maybe not cut out for that aspect, or singing or whatnot. You might be a better producer. You might find a different, I guess, way to access that avenue or outlet, right? Same in business. Like, you might not be the best entrepreneur, but you could be the best second employee, fifth employee, 100th employee that can just change the entire business or creative landscape. So it is tough, but I think this is just something that people realize as they get older. There are teams for a reason, right? Yeah. A lot of times people don't do everything by themselves. You have different, I guess, roles and positions that different people play, right? Boris, what do you think about that?
I just think, just to play at devil's advocate, on the flip side of that coin, there are so many undiscovered people still that, like there. How many Van Goghs do you think are living on this planet right now who are too scared maybe to use Instagram, or have other roadblocks rather than the talent, let's say, or the market speaking on their behalf and saying, good job, keep going? How many untapped people are out there right now? Maybe homeless singers or whatever, who just don't have whatever it is to move forward, So I think the advice of like, just fucking give up, bro, you suck, might not be valid for everybody out there. You know what I mean? It might just make people super insecure, especially if they're in the arts. And I can attest to being extra sensitive because I'm in the arts, So Kogan has like, he's got like a harsh hammer, but I think that works very well in business, or the business side of creatives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think every creative needs a guy on your shoulder.
That's the manager.
Yeah. But you would make people cry.
one thing I will add though, how many people, how many creatives actually want to live the life that Van Gogh lived while he was alive?
Well, Van Gogh didn't want to live that life, man.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
He was
So
bullied and, like, by all the townspeople.
exactly, right? Like he went crazy. Like so just based on that, like I agree that there are a lot of undiscovered people. There's a lot of undiscovered talent out there. Absolutely. But at the same time, I think most people want success so that they can enjoy it and feel fulfilled and also reap the monetary rewards of it, so they can go on nice vacations with their families, so they can live in a nice neighborhood, so they can, you know, send their kids to a good school, so they can drive a nice car. You know, you don't need maybe a 50-foot yacht or a 100-foot yacht. Some people might really want that, but you don't need that. But even just the basics, like having a nice house and eating good food, you know, not eating like garbage food, just going to Whole Foods and buying, and not really caring, just buying good quality food and spending whatever on it and just feeling financially secure. And if, you know, if the market turns and coronavirus hits, you've got a really nice house to spend quarantine time with your family in, and you're not worried about how you're going to put your next meal on the table. And I know a lot of people out there have these genuine concerns. And I think that that's why monetary gain, like financials, are so important, right? I think that there's very few people out there who would prefer to have creative fulfillment and no monetary gain from it than less maybe creative fulfillment, but actually like be able to live the type of life that they want to live and that they deserve to live, right? So that's why, like, Kevin O'Leary actually says a lot. I listened to some of his stuff. I like the guy. He says a lot of interesting stuff in the sense that, like, you have to know when to define something as a hobby. And, you know, if you love to paint, I'm not saying stop painting. If you love to sing, don't stop singing. Like, sing your heart out. Keep putting content out. Keep posting. Like, do whatever you want to do, really. Like, I'm not telling anyone to stop. What I'm telling people is know when to define it as a hobby and pursue some other type of revenue stream.
Fair enough. Why do you guys think that? Is it a fear of failure for a lot of people not to want to put things out, for example? Because for you, like, you put a different name as your company name, right? It's not Dan Kogan. You base your success on numbers, right? And if a product doesn't work, I lost a little bit, but I'll reinvest into the next one. I'll hedge my bets, and it's going to come through. So if we're speaking to creatives, I suppose they could use an alias or, but how, like, do you have an issue overcoming like the fear of failure? And Jason, this is for you as well. Like, what's that thing? What's that fear? Why do we have it? Like, because I face that all the time too. So this might be a personal question. Do you get that? Do you get that, Danny? Like when you're at work, for example, or are you completely unemotional?
Well, I'm a robot.
Terminator, the Amazon Terminator.
I mean, I haven't had to self-brand very much until recently, and it's only when I started getting into the coaching side where I actually had to, you know, create ads like of me talking and, hey, like, this is Dan, like, whatever, right? And that is quite uncomfortable for me. I will be the first to say that it takes time to become comfortable with putting your name and your face out there, and promoting whatever it is that you're trying to sell, whether it's a product or a service. That does take time, and it is uncomfortable in the beginning. Absolutely. I'm still uncomfortable. I still don't enjoy doing that.
You look very comfortable right now, Danny.
Pardon me?
You look very comfortable right now.
That's because I'm at home. I'm chilling at home. But yeah, I mean, for creatives out there, at the end of the day, if you're trying to monetize whatever it is you're doing, you're not gonna sell anything to anyone unless you show, like, I've got a song that is really great and you should buy it, but I won't show it to you until you pay me for it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Same with art, same with whatever it is. You have to put it out there. And at the end of the day, if you create something and you put it out there and people don't, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this again, but if you put it out there and people don't respond very well to it, or you kind of get your friends saying, oh, this is nice, but you don't, like, it doesn't, over a certain period of time, it doesn't actually grow because maybe you're not very good at promoting it, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe you're just not very good at promoting yourself. Your whatever you're creating might actually be quite good, but maybe you're just not very good at promoting yourself or actually monetizing it. That's also another thing. But yeah, you got to change what you're doing. Like, if you're not putting it out there in the first place, that's, like, you have to. You just have to, right? Do you agree with that? Like,
Yeah, this is actually a huge, I guess, emotional roadblock I've faced myself outside of my business ventures. Artistically, when I try to create music, it's always the fear of rejection, I feel. And this is circling back to Boris's question, because it is kind of personal, and I try not to operate under an alias. You just fear so much of what other people think about you. You lose kind of faith in why you started it yourself. And that is my own personal roadblock to not, boastfully promoting myself. Because I see a lot of other artists, they don't put out a lot of music, let's say, as whole projects, but they'll be good at doing snippets and just engaging people. And that's a skill, like you said. Maybe people have great art. They're the Van Goghs, but they're just horrible at getting that message across and showing their skill without a partner, or let's say somebody managing them with the right, pieces on the chessboard, right? I don't know about painting though. That's a different realm. And I think, Boris and I, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Look, it's difficult. I'm still stuck on the giving yourself a timeline thing, because I think 6 months might be, I think it's just different for every venture. What was it? Jim Carrey gave himself 5 years to, if I don't make it in Hollywood, kind of, I'm done or whatever. I know a lot of actors do that. Because I think with something creative, it just takes, you just suck. Like, whoever you are, unless you're like a savant, you're just going to suck at the beginning. It's just going to take years of matching your taste up to your skill set. So that's just a different beast. And like, the three of us are always going to have this kind of swirl of business and art that's going to, not mix like oil and water, let's say, but they will complement each other, because without the managers like Kogan, you're not going to sell your amazing art, let's say, right? And also without the mentality, like sometimes I have to switch gears and think like a businessman in my creative endeavors. And by that, I mean, what's helped me is like just to unplug my emotions with something that I've produced and make it a little bit less personal and just more about the piece and the sale, let's say, right? But I find that when I'm like very attached to a certain painting, let's say, or a design, that's when sometimes it doesn't go as well as I want it to. And in the case when it doesn't, then I'm left feeling kind of negative, right? But again, that's a learning experience as well when something doesn't go right. But yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a Kogan on my shoulder sometimes when I'm painting, who's telling me
I can come over. I can come over and hang out after this whole COVID thing. I could just hover.
Over here, bro. Sit over here, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely creative is different than business. Like it's different when you're selling yourself. Like
But I think that your job is actually pretty creative. You know, like I've watched you build your Amazon business from the beginning to the end. Dude, you're creating witty taglines. You've made a lot of very witty titles, names, and taglines to a lot of your products. You know, it's got to catch people's attention. It's got to be a little bit maybe funny or just interesting. So I think that's creative onto its own. You have to sift through graphics, whether you make them or not. I know you make some on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's creative. I think entrepreneurship in general is a creative feat. Like, wouldn't you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
It's just a slightly different. It's just a little different on the scale there.
I will say though that there are different forms of entrepreneurship. I mean, like let's say the guys that start, in the finance sector, let's say they start a private equity fund. There's not too much that needs to be done on the creative end, and it is very geared towards people who are, mathematically focused. They don't need to worry about the graphics. How many portfolio management funds have you seen with just the most horrible copywriting and just dry, stale images? So I think if you are going to do something that requires like e-commerce, very visual, very get your point across, very creative to fight among the noise, like you have to be creative, or you have to find somebody who's creative. So that's what I'll say about that part.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah,
Coach,
man.
what would you do if I gave you $1 billion right now? I just sold $1 billion painting. I don't want the money because I'm a creative.
Generous.
Here you go. Here's $1 billion. What would you do tomorrow? You've got
I'd buy a bigger space to quarantine in.
What about like professionally, personally? How would your lifestyle? Not even lifestyle. How would you have an Amazon business right now that's thriving?
I would put a lot of money into my Amazon business, and I would go hard on a bunch of products. Like I would.
Okay, I'll give you $3 billion, then you don't have to do that.
The thing is, like, it's weird. I'm not doing it for the money. The money is kind of the money is just attached to it. But I'm doing it because society tells me that it's difficult to make money. And society also tells me that it's difficult to start your own business from scratch, bootstrap it with your own money, obviously, and not take on investors and take on debt, and to grow your own business. Like, that's just known to be a difficult thing. So to me, that's the appeal, is that I'm doing something that, is not an easy feat. And I want to become as successful as I can possibly become and grow my business into, as big of a corporation as I'm able to create. And that is my driver. It's not even like the money's there, sure. And $1 billion obviously would be great. It would take a lot of my stresses away, but I think getting an injection like that of capital could actually take a lot of motivation away. Like, I could actually become a worse business person if I was sitting on that much money.
It'd be a good test for sure.
Yeah.
It'll either make or break you, right?
Yeah. Like I think the fact that I have so much to gain, like, that is a huge driving force, and that's a huge motivation for me in my business.
Mm-hmm. But it sounds like you're in love with the process, because your immediate reaction to my question was, I'll just do it bigger. Like, it sounds like you just like negotiating for products, like thinking of the best name and image for it and just seeing how well it'll sell and then doing it better the next time. So it sounds like you're just really passionate about it.
It's kind of like I'm going to geek out a little bit here, but when I was in high school, I played a lot of Age of Empires. I never played Dota. I never played World of Warcraft, but Age of Empires is kind of similar in a lot of ways. It's just a strategy game where, you build up a civilization from nothing, and, you go and you farm for food, and you build farms, and you have your little workers, your township people go chop down trees, and you build up this civilization, and then other civilizations come and, fight against you. Now, what if, the way to win is to beat out all the other civilizations that, it's a big world map, and you set it up however you want, and you build yours up, you create an army, and then you go and attack, and once you kill their king, then you win the game. What if in the middle of the game you're playing, I just said, hey, what if you could just win the game? What if I could just you could just win? What if I just made you, let you win the game without having to do anything? That would kind of be really anticlimactic. That'd be kind of, why do people go fishing when they could just go to Save on Foods and buy, a fish, buy a fillet? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to love the process. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I love the process. I love the sensation of leveling up and growing it. And it's just awesome. That's
Dude,
the fun of it.
I think you hit it. I read this the other day that Hindus believe that gods made themselves man because of the element of surprise. And the example that they use there is, imagine I made you a god and you had unlimited powers. You could do anything, any day, any time that you want. You could have billions of dollars right now, all the women in the world, everything. And you would continue living this life of just pure pleasure, right? But eventually, let's say in 1,000 years, you'll just sit back and you'll be bored, right? You can literally do anything, all the power's in your hands. You'll be bored. And so you will ultimately make yourself man to get rid of all these powers and to attain the element of surprise again, because that is the magic of life. And that's such a beautiful saying. It hasn't left my mind since I've read it. And it's exactly what you're saying too. It's as soon as you start cheating in the game, you're getting bored of, let's say you're playing Sims and you just keep putting in whatever it was to get the 7K. I remember you get $7,000 at the time.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's the moment where you lose interest in the video game that you're playing.
Yeah.
So I love that answer, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cheating. Yeah. I remember that feeling. I remember the feeling of there are ways to enter God mode in games, right? And it ruins the game.
Yeah, I would always do it near the end of my interest. I feel like, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So speaking of leveling up and what's next and building that process, what is next for you, Dan? What does the next year or maybe even next few years look like for you? If you could give an unreal kind of estimate into what you think, where you think you're going to be, what would it be?
Yeah. I mean, I think about that a lot. I think about that every day.
Let's hear it.
I actually had a coaching event booked for Calgary, Canada. I had a coaching event booked for there at the end of March. So I was supposed to go just recently here. And obviously that was canceled because of what's going on in the world right now. And I'd like to get back on that horse as soon as possible. I'm super excited to build my own coaching business and, grow student group and help a lot of other people to see the success that I've been so fortunate to see. Because that to me is so fulfilling, helping other people along their own journey. If I can help 1,000 people to better their life so that they're able to do the things that they want to do with their families and their loved ones, and they're able to go on that trip with their parents that they've always wanted to go on, and they're able to buy their parents a new car, and they're able maybe to get a nicer house for themselves, and whatever, just create financial freedom for themselves, or just to create a sense of fulfillment for themselves. If I could be a part of that journey, that's incredibly fulfilling for me. So that's why I'd love to get deeper into the coaching side. And then on the actual Amazon business side, I'm probably, I'm probably going to grow this business for another year and a half, see where I'm at. At that point, I'll probably have done, my guess is, probably 3.5, 4 mil in sales in the trailing 12 months. And I'll probably look at some type of exit strategy, because, as much fun as it would be to grow this into a, $50 million company, at the end of the day, like I'm early in my entrepreneurial journey, and having the ability to take some money off the table and really just give myself a really good base for my life, where if push comes to shove, I never really have to tremendously worry about my security, my financial security. That would be I think a smart thing for me to do at the age of 30. And then I would look at starting my next venture, whether that is another Amazon business or maybe a direct to consumer business, something along those lines. Definitely something e-commerce though.
Beautiful. And for those, like you said it earlier, but for those that want, who are listening, that want to connect with you after this, or even, receive some mentorship or join your class, where can they find you? Well, I did a description link before.
For sure. So we'll post my email. It's support@dankoganconsulting.com. We'll also create I have a landing page, but the landing page is specific to my Calgary workshop. We'll create a landing page that is specific to the online course, where you can register for the course. It's $1,000, it's $997. And what you get is a step-by-step video tutorials. Literally, there are hundreds of videos that will teach you exactly how to set up your business, how to find products, how to, effectively find products, not just, I was thinking of selling this. That's not how we do it. We have very specific ways to find products that will be profitable in current market conditions. We have a commandment checklist that you have to go through and validate each product. We've created all of that for you. Well, my friend has, and I've added to it a little bit, but I've helped to teach the students who have enrolled in these classes, and the type of feedback that we get is incredible. So we'll post a link to that landing page where you can enroll in the class. And then once you do, you'll get access to the portal. You'll also be added into a student group where you will have a group of students who are on the same journey as you. There's over 1,000 people in this group, and they're on the exact same journey as you. They want to start an Amazon business. They've already started an Amazon business, where you can go back and forth and have hundreds and even over 1,000 people actually help you to guide you through this journey. It's the only way to do it, I think. Doing it on your own, sure, you can watch a bunch, figure out piecing things together, but this is a roadmap. This is like the Google Maps to starting an Amazon business. You'd be crazy not to do it if that's what you're interested in.
Thanks, Danny. That was unreal. I love that. Thanks for bringing all this information here and inspiring me and other people.
Very inspiring. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on
and
board.
dogging a lot of people too.
It's a real talk. It's unreal.
The soft creatives out there. Thanks for ruining our day, bro.
Well, man, bro, you knew who you were bringing on. You had a disclaimer at the beginning.
I love that. That title can be "You Suck."
Do you suck?
Do you
Question
suck?
mark.
But yeah, thanks,
Love it,
dude.
I love
Like, I've enjoyed all our quarantine conversations that the three of us have had so far. We should obviously continue having them, and I'm glad that we're able to turn it into a podcast just because of that, you know?
Yeah.
Just because we felt like we wanted to podcast for a while, and here we are. Here we fucking are. Let's go.
Let's go. And I think Dan can definitely come back a few months from now and we can see his progress and we can get a reality check, you know?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you, boys. This was fun.
Yeah, this was
like
fun,
it.
boys. Thank you.
I like doing
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome, boys.
Mwah.
Take care.